The snow fell gently over Stowe, Vermont, blanketing the streets and houses in a white mantle that glistened under the streetlights. The crisp morning air seeped through the cracks of the cafe door where Amelia Miller worked, but she barely noticed. Moving mechanically, she brewed coffee and served the few customers braving the icy weather. Her deep blue eyes seemed lost in a distant horizon, oblivious to the soft hum of the environment. The Bean and Brew was a cozy cafe with exposed brick walls and rustic wooden tables. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with a subtle hint of cinnamon and vanilla, creating an inviting atmosphere. Amelia stood behind the counter wearing a dark green apron, her brown hair tied up in a messy bun. She avoided unnecessary conversation, limiting herself to polite smiles and nods. That morning, as she cleaned the espresso machine, the door opened with the soft jingle of the bell. A tall man walked in, shaking the snow off his dark coat. His brown eyes scanned the room before settling on Amelia. There was something intriguing about his gaze, a mix of curiosity and liveliness. "Good morning," he greeted, approaching the counter. "Good morning. What can I get for you?" Amelia responded automatically, barely lifting her eyes. "A large cappuccino, please, and maybe a suggestion for what's good here," he said with a slight smile. She gestured toward the display case filled with pastries and baked goods. "The cinnamon donuts are popular." "Then I'll take one," he nodded, still watching her. As she prepared the cappuccino, Amelia felt slightly uneasy under the stranger's watchful gaze. It wasn't common for someone to pay her that much attention. She handed him his order quickly, hoping he'd find a seat far away. But to her surprise, the man chose a table near the counter. He pulled a camera out of his backpack and began reviewing photos he'd taken. Every now and then, he glanced up, seemingly wanting to start a conversation. But Amelia kept herself busy, avoiding eye contact. The flow of customers increased as the morning wore on. Amelia served everyone efficiently, but without enthusiasm. When the cafe finally emptied, she sighed in relief, savoring the brief moment of peace. "Looks like business is pretty steady here." The man's voice pulled her out of her thoughts. She turned, surprised to see him still there. "Yes, especially when it's this cold outside," she replied, trying to be polite. "Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you." "I'm Owen Smith," he said, extending a hand. Hesitant, Amelia shook it briefly. "Amelia Miller." "Nice to meet you, Amelia. I'm back in town after many years. Things have changed quite a bit." She simply nodded, unsure how to keep the conversation going. Sensing her reluctance, Owen didn't push further. "Well, thanks for the coffee and the donut. They were excellent," he said with a genuine smile. "I'm sure we'll run into each other again." He packed up his camera and left, leaving behind an odd sense of anticipation. Amelia watched through the window as he walked away, disappearing into the whiteness of the snow. The rest of the day passed uneventfully. When her shift ended, Amelia put on her heavy coat and stepped out into the snow-covered streets. Christmas lights adorned houses and shops, casting a warm glow over the frozen landscape. Every decoration reminded her of the holidays that once meant so much, but now felt empty. Walking toward her small apartment, she passed through the town's central park. Children played, building snowmen, their laughter echoing through the air. Amelia averted her gaze and quickened her pace. Other people's joy only heightened the ache in her heart. When she reached home, the silence greeted her like an old companion. She lit the fireplace and sat on the couch, staring at the flames. Above the mantel, a photo of her parents smiling during a summer picnic. Amelia felt tears welling up, but quickly blinked them away, refusing to cry. She decided to make a warm soup, trying to push away the painful memories. As she chopped vegetables, her thoughts involuntarily drifted back to Owen. There was something about him that intrigued her, an unusual energy. But she couldn't allow herself to get involved with anyone, not anymore. The next morning, the routine repeated itself. The cafe, the customers, the same emptiness as always. However, just before noon, the door opened, and Owen walked in again. This time he held a map in his hand and had a smile on his face. "Hi, Amelia, hope I'm not bothering you," he said, approaching the counter. "Hello," she replied, surprised. "What can I get you today?" "I was thinking of trying the coffee of the day, and maybe asking for some advice if you don't mind." She prepared the coffee as he continued. "I'm looking for the best spots to photograph landscapes around here. Do you have any suggestions? Amelia thought for a moment. The lookout at the top of the hill offers a nice view of the town, and the frozen lake in the park is also popular. Great suggestions. Have you been to those places? A long time ago, she admitted. If you'd like, you could join me sometime. It'd be great to have a local guide. She shook her head. I don't think that's a good idea, but thank you. Owen didn't push, but kept his smile. I understand. Either way, thanks for the help. He paid for the coffee and left, leaving her with a mix of relief and unease. There was something disarming about his friendliness, but Amelia was determined to keep her distance. In the days that followed, Owen kept coming back to the cafe, always polite, but never overstepping boundaries. They exchanged brief greetings, and he occasionally mentioned the photos he was taking. Despite herself, Amelia began to look forward to those interactions with a certain anticipation. One afternoon, as she was closing the cafe, Amelia found an envelope addressed to her on the counter. Surprised, she opened it to find a Polaroid photo of the snow-covered town square with a small note written on the back. Beauty is in the eyes of those who can see beyond. Owen. She looked around, but the street was empty. Her heart raced. No one had made such a kind gesture in a long time. Carefully, she tucked the photo into her pocket and stepped outside, the cold air flushing her cheeks. On her way home, she passed by the park again. This time she stopped. She watched the lights twinkling on the trees, reflecting on the ice covering the lake. For a moment, she allowed herself to feel the beauty of the scene. Notes from a familiar melody echoed in her mind, and she could almost hear the sound of her violin again. It looks even more beautiful at night, doesn't it? Owen's voice broke her thoughts. Amelia turned, surprised. Were you following me? Not exactly. I was taking some photos and saw you walking by. I promise I'm not a stalker, he said, raising his hands in mock defense, laughing. She couldn't help but smile faintly. Fair enough. It really is a good spot for photos. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the lights reflect on the ice. You know, Amelia, sometimes the things we avoid are exactly what we need most, Owen said, looking at her. What do you mean by that? She asked, feeling uneasy. Just an observation. Sometimes shutting yourself off from the world doesn't protect you from pain. It just keeps you from experiencing moments that might be worth it. She looked away. You don't know anything about me. That's true. But I'd like to, he said softly. Amelia felt a swirl of conflicting emotions. She wanted to push him away, yet part of her longed for that connection. She took a deep breath. It's late. I need to go. Of course. Can I walk you home? There's no need, thanks. She walked away quickly, leaving Owen alone in the park. As she walked, the cold wind stung her face, but it wasn't what bothered her. It was the fear of letting her guard down and getting hurt again. When she got home, she took the photo out of her pocket and placed it on the table. Owen's words echoed in her mind. She sat down at the old piano that had belonged to her mother. The dusty keys had been waiting for a touch that hadn't come in years. Hesitant, she pressed one key, then another, until a gentle melody filled the silence of the house. The tears came without warning, streaming freely down her face. The music brought back both joyful and painful memories, but in that moment, she realized she might be tired of running. The next day, when she arrived at the cafe, she found Owen waiting at the door. Good morning, he said with a cautious smile. Good morning, she replied, unlocking the door. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday. You're right. I don't know anything about you, but I'd like to change that. She studied him for a moment. Why do you care? Because I see something in you that I recognize in myself, he admitted with a sincerity that disarmed her. Maybe we can help each other. Amelia considered his words. There was honesty in his eyes, something that struck a chord within her. All right, we can start with a coffee, she said, allowing a small smile to escape. Owen's face lit up with a wide smile. I'd like that. As they entered the cafe, the snow continued to fall outside, but inside Amelia, something was beginning to thaw. Perhaps, just perhaps, it was time to let life regain its color. The cafe was quiet that morning, with only the gentle hum of the espresso machine and the soft murmur of distant conversations filling the air. Amelia sat at a table near the counter, with Owen across from her. The steam rising from their coffee cups swirled slowly, and the tension between them began to ease. It was the first time Amelia allowed herself to sit so close to someone without putting up emotional walls. Owen rested his arms on the table, watching her intently. "You seem like someone with a lot of stories to tell, Amelia," he said, his smile filled more with curiosity than intrusion. Amelia stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, staring at the liquid as if searching for the right words within it. "I'm not sure if they're stories or just fragments of something that doesn't make sense anymore." "Fragments are still part of something bigger," he said gently, "and maybe when shared they can find a new meaning." She looked up, surprised by the depth of his words. It wasn't common for someone to speak with such sensitivity, especially to someone like her, who kept herself so closed off. She took a deep breath before responding. "I lost my parents last Christmas. After that, everything that used to matter stopped being important. Music, my dreams, everything." Owen remained silent for a moment, letting her words settle in the space between them. "I'm so sorry, Amelia. Losing someone like that, it's like losing parts of yourself. But you're still here, and that means there's still something inside you, waiting to be rediscovered." "You talk as if you understand," she replied, crossing her arms defensively. Owen looked away briefly, as though debating how much of his own truth he could share. "Maybe I understand more than you think," he began, with a melancholic smile. "I've spent years traveling, photographing the world, trying to capture unique moments. But there are things even the best camera can't capture, like the fear of losing something essential, something you can never get back." Amelia narrowed her eyes, sensing there was more behind his words than he was saying. "And what are you afraid of losing?" Owen hesitated, as if the answer was too heavy to share. But before he could respond, the door to the cafe opened with a soft chime, and his sister walked in, bringing a gust of cold air with her. "Owen," she exclaimed, smiling, "I've been looking for you. I didn't know you had company." Amelia stood up instinctively, feeling uncomfortable with the interruption. Owen stood as well, gesturing to introduce the two. "Amelia, this is my sister, Natalie." "Natalie, this is Amelia." Natalie had a warm demeanor and seemed genuinely happy to meet Amelia. "Nice to meet you. Owen has been talking a lot about how the town has changed, but I guess he forgot to mention he made a new friend." Amelia blushed slightly and shook her head. "I wouldn't say we're friends exactly, just acquaintances." Owen chuckled. "Well, that's up for debate." Natalie shot Owen a look that seemed to carry a silent message, but he pretended not to notice. "Well, I don't want to interrupt," Natalie said. "I just wanted to let you know we're having dinner at home tomorrow. You're invited, Amelia." "Me?" Amelia blinked, surprised. "Oh no, I couldn't." "Of course you can," Natalie insisted. "It'll be a good chance to meet more people. And my apple pie is famous around here." Owen smiled, encouraging her with his eyes. "It'll be fun, what do you say?" Amelia hesitated, but there was something in the way Natalie and Owen spoke that made her feel like maybe she really could say yes. "All right, but just for a little while." "Perfect," Natalie replied, excited. "We'll see you tomorrow then." After Natalie left, Owen turned to Amelia, his smile softer this time. "I'm glad you said yes. Maybe this is the first of many changes." Amelia huffed, trying to hide the small smile forming on her face. "Don't get your hopes up, Owen. I'm just trying not to be rude." "As you wish," he replied with a playful tone. "But something tells me you liked the idea." She rolled her eyes but didn't respond. There was something about Owen, something that made her feel like maybe he was right. Maybe it was time for a change, even if it was slow. That evening, as Amelia returned home, she found herself thinking about the dinner. Why had she agreed? She wasn't used to attending social events since the tragedy, but somehow Owen and his sister had managed to break through her walls. Her heart raced as she imagined what the next day would be like. There was so much she still wasn't ready to face, but for the first time she felt a spark of curiosity. Sitting on the couch, she looked again at the Polaroid Owen had left. The image of the snow-covered square seemed more alive now. It was as if he'd captured something she'd stopped noticing herself. She smiled involuntarily. Maybe there was something more waiting for her beyond the emptiness that had become her constant companion. For the first time in months, Amelia felt anxious, not from fear but from something closer to hope. The next morning, Amelia woke earlier than usual. The cold in Stowe felt similar, but something inside her was warming her thoughts. During breakfast, her mind wandered between Natalie's invitation and Owen's friendly insistence. It had been so long since she'd attended any kind of social event, and the idea of going to a dinner made her nervous. But at the same time, there was a strange curiosity driving her. She spent the day at the cafe as usual. Each customer brought a small distraction, but throughout the hours, Amelia noticed she felt restless. When her shift finally ended, she went home and stood indecisively in front of her closet. She didn't want to seem like she'd put too much effort into it, but she also didn't want to look like she didn't care. She chose a simple beige wool sweater and dark jeans, comfortable enough to feel at ease. Before leaving, she stopped in front of the mirror. Her hands hesitated around a necklace she hadn't worn in months, a delicate chain with a musical note pendant, a gift from her parents. Finally, she put it on. The reflection in the mirror looked a little closer to the Amelia she used to be, and it gave her the courage she needed. When she arrived at Natalie and Owen's house, she was surprised by the warmth emanating from the small cabin. Christmas lights twinkled on the porch, and a trail of footprints in the snow indicated other guests had already arrived. Amelia hesitated for a moment before knocking on the door, but before she could change her mind, Owen opened it with a wide smile. "I thought you weren't coming," he teased. "I don't break promises," she replied with a timid smile. "Good to know. Come in, it's freezing out there." The inside of the house was even cozier. A fireplace crackled in one corner of the room, and the scent of spices and apples filled the air. A few people were gathered around the table, laughing and chatting. Natalie approached Amelia with contagious energy. "Amelia, I'm so glad you came. Come in, make yourself at home. I'll grab you something to drink." Amelia thanked her, but before she could respond, Natalie was already on her way to the kitchen. Owen gestured for her to follow him to a small area by the window, where the view of the snow illuminated by the moon looked almost magical. "It's not so bad, is it?" he asked, handing her a glass of wine. "No, it's different," she admitted. "It's been a while since I've been part of something like this." "Different can be good," Owen said, taking a sip of his drink. "Sometimes we need to step outside what's familiar to remember we're still alive." Amelia thought about that, watching the light in Owen's eyes as he spoke. There was something about him that made her feel less alone. Before she could respond, Natalie returned, pulling them both toward the table. The dinner was a mix of flavors and laughter. Natalie was a natural hostess, effortlessly leading conversations and engaging everyone present. Amelia, initially reserved, started to relax. The stories shared at the table were simple, yet they carried a joy she hadn't experienced in a long time. During a quiet moment, Owen leaned closer to her. "Surviving so far?" he asked softly. "I think so," she replied, laughing lightly. "I'm glad. You look good. Don't forget that." His words caught her off guard. No one had said something like that to her in so long. Before she could respond, Natalie stood up with an excited expression. "Okay, everyone, dessert time, and I won't take no for an answer." Amelia watched as Natalie served her famous apple pie, and for a moment she felt part of something again. There was a simplicity to the moment that seemed so far removed from her usual reality, yet it was comforting. When the dinner ended and the guests began saying their goodbyes, Owen walked Amelia to the door. "Thanks for coming," he said sincerely. "I'm glad you joined us." "So am I," she admitted, looking at him. "It was nice." Owen smiled. "Maybe we can do it again sometime, but without Natalie dragging you along, just the two of us." Amelia hesitated, but something about his smile was disarming. "We'll see," she replied, keeping her tone light. "I'll take that as a maybe," Owen teased, making her laugh softly. When Amelia returned home, she found herself smiling without realizing it. There was something about the dinner, the company, and especially Owen, that made her feel like maybe opening up to the world wasn't as scary as it seemed. Sitting at the piano again, she played a few hesitant notes. This time there were no tears, just a strange warmth she couldn't quite name. As the notes filled the room, Amelia realized that something inside her was starting to shift. Maybe there was still room for hope, even amid the pain. And for the first time, she didn't feel afraid to explore that feeling. The days that followed brought Amelia a new sensation. The idea that time wasn't just something to endure. The freezing mornings and her shifts at the cafe were still constants, but she found herself thinking more and more about Owen and the night she'd spent at his and Natalie's house. Despite all her resistance, she felt something within her starting to open, albeit cautiously. Owen didn't take long to show up again. He walked into the cafe early in the afternoon, as if he were just another customer, but his eyes sparkled with intention. "Good afternoon, Amelia. I hope you've got something stronger than coffee for me today," he said, his smile lighting up the room. Amelia rolled her eyes but couldn't stop herself from smiling. "I think we can whip up a special mocha. Will that do?" "Perfect. And while you're at it, I've got an invitation," he said, leaning casually on the counter. She eyed him suspiciously. "An invitation for what?" "I'm heading out to photograph the frozen lake this afternoon. You mentioned it was a beautiful spot, and I thought it might be even better with you there. Who better to show me the best angles?" Amelia hesitated. The idea of spending time with him was both appealing and intimidating. But there was something in Owen's gaze that made her believe he didn't expect anything more than her company. "I don't know if it's a good idea," she began, but Owen cut her off. "I'm not asking you to climb a mountain or play the violin for a crowd. Just a walk and maybe help me carry the camera. What do you say?" She let out a sigh, torn between logic and impulse. Finally, she gave in. "Fine, but only because it's not too cold today." Owen smiled as if he'd just won a prize. That's all I needed to hear. After Amelia's shift, they headed toward the lake together. The pale afternoon sun reflected off the snow with a soft glow, and the air carried that crisp, clean scent that only winter can bring. They walked side by side, with Owen breaking the silence now and then with comments about the beauty of the landscape or stories from his travels. Amelia, initially tense, began to relax as he spoke. Owen had a way of turning ordinary moments into something more meaningful. When they reached the lake, he immediately started setting up his camera while she took in the scenery. The mirrored ice was surrounded by snow-covered trees, and the stillness in the air felt almost sacred. "It's more beautiful than I imagined," Owen remarked, adjusting the lens. "I used to come here with my parents. In the summer, we'd have picnics," Amelia said, not realizing she was sharing something so personal. Owen paused, looking at her with quiet attentiveness. "Those must have been special times." She nodded, her gaze fixed on the ice. "They were, but now sometimes it feels like those memories just make everything harder." Owen stepped closer, his voice soft and full of understanding. "I think it's hard because it matters, because what you felt was real. That never goes away, even when it hurts." Amelia swallowed hard, turning her eyes away. "You talk like you know exactly what that means." Owen was silent for a moment, his eyes reflecting something distant. "Maybe I do." His tone made her feel there was much more behind his words. Before she could ask, he shifted the conversation, pointing to the horizon. "The light is perfect right now. Want to help me with the camera?" Amelia nodded, grateful for the change in mood. They worked together as he explained how to adjust the tripod and frame the shots. For the first time in a long while, Amelia felt part of something light, something unburdened by grief. As the sun began to set, Owen called her over to see the last photo he'd taken. The image captured the lake with the golden reflection of the sky, framed naturally by the trees in the background. It was without a doubt one of the most beautiful things Amelia had ever seen. "It's amazing," she admitted, genuinely impressed. "I think it's because I had the best company," Owen said, smiling at her. Amelia felt her cheeks warm, but she didn't look away. There was something about his presence that eased the heaviness in her chest, even if just for a moment. On the walk back, they strolled in a comfortable silence. When they reached the door of Amelia's building, Owen stopped. "Thanks for coming. I think today was one of the best days I've had since I got back to Stowe." She smiled, surprised by his confession. "I enjoyed it too." Owen hesitated for a moment, as if he wanted to say more, but he simply smiled again. "Good night, Amelia." "Good night, Owen." As he walked away, Amelia stepped into her apartment, feeling different. She wasn't sure what it meant, but for the first time in a long while, she felt like she was living something that mattered. Sitting down at the piano again, she began to play the first notes of a melody that had been forming in her mind. It was something new, something without a complete shape yet, but it carried the promise of hope. And as the notes filled the room, Amelia realized that maybe, just maybe, she was beginning to find her way back. In the days that followed, Amelia noticed her routine starting to change in subtle ways. The coffee shop remained her safe haven, but now there was something different. Thoughts of Owen would frequently come to mind, and she found herself smiling as she remembered their conversations and the moments they shared by the lake. It was a shy smile, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Owen, for his part, seemed to find excuses to cross paths with Amelia every day. He showed up at the coffee shop with various pretexts, trying a new coffee, sharing tips on photography spots, or simply making conversation. Their interactions became more natural, as if they had always been a part of each other's lives. One particularly quiet afternoon, Owen walked in more excited than usual, carrying a small notebook in his hands. "Amelia, I need your help with something," he said, leaning on the counter. She raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "I'm not carrying more photography equipment for you, if that's what this is about." No, he laughed. "This time it's a little different." He opened the notebook, revealing a disorganized list of scribbled ideas. Amelia frowned as he slid the notebook toward her. "I'm trying to put together a kind of photography project about Stowe, something that captures the essence of the town and the people who live here. I thought you might help me with some suggestions. You know this town better than I do." Amelia hesitated before picking up the notebook, her eyes scanning Owen's notes. There were ideas about local markets, landscapes, and even community events. It was ambitious, but carried the kind of enthusiasm that seemed characteristic of him. "It's an interesting project," she said, handing the notebook back. "But why do you think I'd be useful?" "Because you see things differently," he replied seriously, "and I think your perspective is exactly what I need." She was quiet for a moment, surprised by his sincerity. Finally, she sighed. "Fine, but only because it seems like you won't take no for an answer." Owen smiled, satisfied. "I knew you'd say that." In the days that followed, Amelia and Owen began exploring the town together. He took photos while she pointed out places that held meaning for her. The old playground where she used to play, the local library she frequented with her parents, and even the overlook where people went to stargaze. Each spot seemed steeped in memories, and Owen captured those moments with his camera. "It's interesting how every photo has a story," he remarked during one of their outings, "and how you're part of so many of them. I guess I didn't realize how much this town means to me until I started talking about it," Amelia admitted softly. Owen watched her for a moment, as if he wanted to say something but chose silence instead. There was a growing connection between them, something both seemed to recognize but neither dared to name. One afternoon while they were at the local market, Owen suggested something unexpected. "Have you ever thought about playing music for the people here?" he asked casually. Amelia stopped in the middle of the aisle, staring at him as if he'd said something absurd. "Playing here? You're joking." "I'm not. Think about it. Music has a way of bringing people together, and yours especially seems like it could bring something amazing to this town." She shook her head, laughing nervously. "I don't know, Owen. That feels like something from my past. Or maybe it's something waiting in your future," he said with a smile. Amelia looked away, feeling exposed. The idea of playing again was something that haunted her, but it also began to stir something inside her, something she couldn't quite explain. That night, at home, she took her violin out of its case for the first time in months. She held it in her hands, feeling its familiar weight, and ran her fingers across the strings. The sound that echoed when she played the first notes was hesitant, but carried an emotion that seemed to transcend time. She closed her eyes and let the music flow without trying to control it. It was as if all the memories, all the pain and hope stored in her heart found a way out. When she finished, tears streamed down her face, but this time they weren't only of sadness. There was something else, something like relief. The next day, when Owen showed up at the coffee shop again, Amelia greeted him with a look he didn't immediately recognize. "About what you said yesterday," she began hesitantly. "Which part?" he asked, smiling. "About playing. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to try, but I don't know if I can do it alone." Owen looked surprised, but his smile quickly grew warm. "You don't have to do anything alone, Amelia. I'll be there whenever you need." Amelia felt her heart race at the unspoken promise in his words. For the first time, she began to believe that maybe it was possible to face her fears, that maybe, with Owen by her side, she could finally rediscover her music and herself. The days that followed brought a new energy to Amelia. She had promised Owen she would try playing in public again, and while the idea still made her nervous, his constant presence by her side made the challenge more bearable. Owen, for his part, seemed genuinely excited about the prospect of seeing her rediscover her music. He encouraged her every step of the way, but never pushed her too hard. One morning, as they strolled through the local market, Owen suggested a special place for Amelia's first return to music. "How about the town square?" he asked, pointing to the open space where Christmas lights twinkled amid the snow. "The decorations are amazing, and I think people would love to hear something special." Amelia looked at the spot, feeling a pang of anxiety. The square was always bustling, especially around Christmas. "I don't know, Owen. What if I fail? What if no one wants to listen?" Owen smiled gently, lightly touching her arm. "You won't fail, Amelia. And even if there's a chance you might, failure is part of the journey. What matters is that you try, not for others but for yourself." She took a deep breath, trying to absorb his words. There was a quiet strength in Owen that she was beginning to admire deeply. Maybe he was right. The days passed quickly, and Amelia began practicing more often. Owen accompanied her whenever he could, sometimes offering encouraging advice, other times just sitting silently and listening as she played. He also used his camera to capture those moments, saying he wanted to preserve the memories before they faded. But as he helped Amelia confront her fears, Owen was battling his own struggles. His vision was deteriorating. The world around him was becoming increasingly blurred, and he knew time was running out. Still, he kept his condition a secret from Amelia, fearing that revealing the truth would either push her away or burden her. On an especially cold day, Owen visited his sister, Natalie, to talk about his condition. "You need to tell her, Owen," Natalie said, concerned. "Amelia deserves to know the truth, and you can't carry this alone forever." "I know," he replied, weary, "but I don't want her to see me as a burden. Amelia is finally starting to open up, and I don't want to ruin that." "That's not how it works, Owen. Real relationships are built on honesty. If you keep hiding this, you're going to lose what you're building with her." Owen knew Natalie was right, but he hesitated nonetheless. The fear of losing Amelia was greater than he wanted to admit. On the eve of a small musical event planned for the square, Amelia noticed something different about Owen. He seemed more reserved, as if carrying an invisible weight. During a casual conversation, she tried to bring it up. "Are you okay, Owen? You seem distant." He forced a smile, looking away. "I'm fine, just a little tired. I've been running around too much with the photos." Amelia sensed there was more to it, but decided not to press him. Deep down, she knew Owen was hiding something, but she didn't want to push him before he was ready. On the night of the event, the town square was aglow with lights and filled with people. Small food stalls sold hot chocolate and seasonal treats, and the air was fragrant with cinnamon and pine. Standing in the center of the square, Amelia held her violin, her hands trembling slightly. Owen stood beside her, offering an encouraging smile. "You're going to be amazing," he said confidently. She took a deep breath, trying to draw strength from his support. When she finally began to play, a gentle melody filled the cold night air. At first her fingers faltered, but as the music flowed, Amelia lost herself in the notes. It was as if each sound was a conversation between her and the world, a way of expressing everything in her heart. The crowd around her grew silent, captivated by the beauty of the performance. Owen watched with admiration, knowing he was witnessing something extraordinary. Amelia had found her courage, and it moved him deeply. When the final note echoed, the square erupted in applause. Amelia opened her eyes, surprised by the audience's reaction. She looked at Owen, who was clapping with a wide smile. "I told you you'd be amazing," he said, stepping closer. She smiled, feeling lighter than she had in months. "Thank you, Owen, for everything." But before he could respond, Amelia noticed something strange in his expression. There was a glimmer of emotion in his eyes, but also something more. She recalled all the times he seemed hesitant or distant and decided it was time to confront him. "Owen, what are you hiding?" she asked softly but firmly. He hesitated, but he knew he couldn't avoid the truth any longer. Taking a deep breath, he finally told her everything about his condition, retinitis pigmentosa, and how it was affecting his vision. Amelia was silent for a moment, processing his words. There was pain in her eyes, but also understanding. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Because I was afraid it would push you away. I didn't want you to feel like you had to take care of me." Amelia cupped his face in her hands, her eyes shining with an intensity Owen didn't expect. "You helped me face my fears, Owen. Now it's my turn to do the same for you. No matter what happens, you're not alone." Owen felt tears threaten to fall, but smiled, the weight he'd been carrying beginning to lift. In that moment, as snow fell softly around them, they embraced, finding comfort in each other. Amelia knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. And so under the lights of Stowe Square, they began writing a new chapter in their lives, together.